Hi, friends. Today we have another exciting mock auction for one of the franchises that hasn't had much of a success in this IPL so far, and they're looking to rebuild their side again. They have the maximum purse, and off the record, they haven't had much success, barring the first season of IPL where they reached the semi-finals and the 2014 season where they were the runners-up. So we have we're talking about Punjab Kings, and Punjab Kings going into the auction. They have retained two players, two Indian players. One is capped Indian player Mayank Agarwal, who's been retained by them. So he looks exciting. He's promising. He's playing for India regularly, and he's looking to lead the side. Perhaps like they haven't specifically mentioned him as the captain of the team going into the auctions, but yes, he might be one of the prospect, and not a bad choice in my opinion if you have an Indian captain, because then you have your four overseas slots open as well. And the second pick that Punjab Kings have retained in this IPL going into the auction is Arsdeep Singh. Arsdeep has been doing really well for them over the past couple of seasons, and what he'll be looking for, or what Punjab Kings would be looking for, would be the bowlers to complement him. So Arshdeep is certainly looking for some good, handy players with him, and Punjab Kings is also looking for some side building and some redemption for themselves. So we'll quickly move into the potential picks for them for this auction, and let's see how I have planned their squad building. So the first pick for me would be Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock is young, he's left-hander, and he's exciting. He's the wicket-keeping opening batsman for them, and he's done well for every franchise that he's played with. He did well for Sunrisers initially. He was with the Delhi Daredevils then. He did well for them. He played for the RCB as well. He did well. He gave them good starts. He did very well for Mumbai Indians of late. And just because they could not retain him, they did not retain him. So he's exciting talent to watch out for. So Quinton de Kock would be one of my choice. And given the purse that we have, and given the purse or the luxury of buying anything literally from the auction table, Punjab Kings can definitely go all banks. He can Punjab Kings can break the bank for him. So he would be an automatic choice into my 11 as well, and he's available for the full season. So he's an interesting pick for me. And if not De Kock, I would be tempted towards Johnny Bairstow. He performs, or he gives me the same flexibility that De Kock gives you, and he's right-hander, so he'll complement Mayank Agarwal as well. So a righty wicket-keeping batsman opening the innings. He's someone who's proven his worth with the Sunrisers and opening with David Warner. But of late, the only thing that perhaps blocks me, or perhaps keeps I have to keep in my mind, is he's not available for the entire season. He might have to leave midway following his national duties, so national commitments. So that is the reason I would want De Kock to be my first choice wicketkeeper, and the opener as well. So yeah, and going forward, I would want to have Shakib in my team. Shakib gives me a lot of things. He's exciting. He's a left-hander, and he gives you 4 overs of quality spin. He can bowl anytime in the innings. He can bowl. He can bowl up front. But to get the maximum use out of Shakib as a batsman, you need to get him to bat in the top four for your side. He was batting fairly low for the KKR last time. If he bats in the top four, or perhaps at one down or two down, he could build down the innings. He could lead the ship. He could play an anchor's role and also dominate different bowlers. And he could be the accelerator, that middle overs accelerator that Punjab Kings might be looking for. And he has a good head on his shoulder. He had a very fantastic 2019 World Cup, the 50 over format. He was scoring runs at will. So he just needs a franchise that trusts him and gives him that batting opportunity as well. So Punjab Kings would be one of my picks, that like Punjab Kings could place their bets on Shakib. I would want Shakib to get in their scheme of things. and he also adds to the leadership group as well. If you're looking at Mayank, the captain, then you want someone to support him as well in this side. Someone who has led the side. He's led the national teams. He's led various franchisee teams for in the BPL or maybe any of the leagues that he's played in. So he's a good head on his shoulders. He's game aware. He's match aware as well. And someone who's also done very well for another franchise that he's played with is Faf du Plessis. I would want Faf to be part of the Punjab Kings simply because there are a couple of reasons. He adds to his leadership group as well, obviously. He's a fantastic leader, he's a fantastic team man, brilliant fielder. He can bat at the top, he can bat one down, and he has played a very particular role for the CSK, and he's done really well with that. And I don't think CSK would go all out for him at the auction, and it's a interesting call to maybe steal it from CSK this time. If we could steal him from CSK, CSK would also have to put a lot of thoughts then to fix that missing puzzle from their jigsaw then, and Faf could easily fit in into my scheme of things, into my playing 11 as well. So I would want Faf. And next up, bowling would be one key area that Punjab Kings should highlight this time. So if I talk about bowlers, then I would want Kagiso Rabada to be my spare at this time. And he's done well for Delhi Capitals last time. And he could not be retained because they chose not to over him. But he's brilliant. He has done well for South Africa as well of late. And he's someone who gives you quality. He's good at the start. He's good in the middle. He could break partnerships at will, and he's brilliant at the death. I would want him. And there's one more bowler that I would want in my playing or in my squad. That is Deepak Chahar. Deepak Chahar is an out and out swing bowler. He could give me wickets up front, ease the workload on the rest of the bowlers. I could mix and match different bowlers at will in the power play. And um, again, I would want to change the dynamics for CSK this time. They are playing. They have their strong core with them. I would want to break it them for them this time, and I have the purse, so why not go all out for them? And I want a homecoming for Mohammad Shami. Yeah, Mohammad Shami has been brilliant for us over the few seasons. So I would want Mohammad Shami back. Definitely, I want him back. And there's one more person that could perform the role of of Faf is Steve Smith. I mentioned in my previous interviews in my previous video as well that Steve Smith is the kind of player that could not easily fit in the scheme of things for a lot of franchise or a lot of teams around. And Punjab Kings has that missing block right now because they would need someone who could bat in the middle and bat along, and the whole team could just go hammer and tongs from ball one around him. So Steve Smith could be someone who could play the entire innings. But if I have Steve Smith, I would want to bat him one down in this team, not open, because I would want to give Mayank the flexibility, and I would want Dasher, uh, someone who could take the bowlings head on. So I would want someone like that who would open the innings from with me for Mayank. And coming ahead, I would want spinners. So moving ahead with the spinners, I would want Kuldeep Yadav. Kuldeep Yadav, the left arm Chinaman, KKR boy, man, he's had a roller coaster ride so far. So it's interesting to place my bets on him because he's had a fair amount of success initially, and what's missing with him is the team not backing him off late. He missed out on few opportunities last time with the KKR, and definitely he's missing out on a lot of opportunities in the India setup as well. So he needs a team that could back him, and uh, Anil Kumble has had a fair history and a good rapport with Kuldeep Yadav. So this partnership could do wonders, and maybe Kuldeep Yadav could give us the missing armory. Missing armory. He could fix the missing armory chunk in the bowling attack of Punjab Kings this time. So I would want him in my scheme of things for sure, and not a lot of teams would bid for him. I think like a couple of teams would. but won't break the bank for him. And I think we could just probably edge out other teams there. So Kuldeep Yadav would be one of my picks, a certainty for me. And next up, I want to have an Indian opener, just in case I do not get any of the above overseas players as an opener. So I would want Dev Padikkal to be my opening choice. He's had a very good season. He's had a very good couple of seasons. He's had a good run at the domestic level as well. So I would want Devdutt to be in my team. He plays for the same state as Mayank does, and they've batted well together, and they share a good rapport, and they share this bond as well, this Karnataka bond that they have, and might as well benefit. The team would benefit a lot, and we would have two solid opening batsmen who could be potentially India's uh, future opening batsman as well. So I would want Devdutt to be in my scheme of things. If I have the luxury of buying him, I would want to buy him. And next up, I have a quality all rounder up my sleeves. That's Jason Holder. I would want Jason Holder to be in my team because he's this silent match winner kind of a player who would win you matches. He won't win you matches single handedly, but he would win you matches from an improbable situation. He's good with the ball. He's not entirely consistent at the depth, but he's good. He's good in his own right. He has that height which adds to his armory while he's bowling, and definitely he's a good hitter of the ball. He's a clean hitter. He could hit them straight. He could hit them long. So, and he's been a leader of the West Indies side, which could definitely add to the leadership group of Punjab Kings as well and assist Mayank. So I would want Jason Holder to be one of my picks, and again his countryman Shimron Hetmeyer. Shimron Hetmeyer would be again one of my picks, and he played a very good role with the Delhi Capitals last season and a couple of seasons before as well. But I was of the opinion that he was batting too low for them, and that is no fault of his. But the Delhi Capitals lineup was so packed with Indian batsmen and good batsmen that um, at best Shimron Hetmeyer could bat at 5 or 6. In my team, I would see him bat at 4 and probably take the innings towards closure. So I would want Hetmeyer to be in my scheme of things. And a couple of other players that I would want. These are Indian batsmen, Indian domestic batsmen and capped batsmen. Either of them, Rajat Patidar or Shahbaz Ahmed, both had a very good domestic season, and both were in the RCB setup. Virat has spoken highly of both of them, and Shahbaz has had a couple of games that have turned really well for him in the previous edition of IPL. So he could be one of my guys, one of my go-to guys in this team. And being an Indian player who could play straight at a middle order and could give me few overs of bowling and being a quality fielder as well. So it's a win-win situation for me at all points. And again, as I spoke about having an opener to ease off the pressure for Mayank, I would want Jason Roy to be part of my squad. And I know Jason Roy would not win me matches on most of the surfaces. Like if the ball is gripping and turning, he would not be a very good choice in the setup. But if you see a belter and if you find a team that has bowlers that you can take on from ball one, then Jason Roy has the ability, and he's equally well capable of taking it from ball one and scoring big. So Jason Roy would be one of my uh, key targets, one of my silent targets this auction. And similarly, one of my again picks would be one into Hasaranga. Hasaranga has been a match winner. He's literally won matches everywhere in every league, and he's won them single handedly. And he has that amazing knack of creating magic out of nowhere. He's done brilliantly well for Sri Lanka in the opportunities that he's been given on, and he's done well. He could not meet the expectations that he was uh, interested upon with the RCB last season, but he did well for the in the recently conducted LPL, and he was doing well at the World Cup as well. So I would want to give one more. I would want to place my bets on Hasranga this time, and along with Hasranga, I would want a middle order batsman for my setup, and I would want Nitish Rana to be in my team. I would want Nitish Rana to play a kind of role that Suresh Rana has played over the years for CSK, and the kind of faith and trust that CSK had shown over Suresh Raina, sorry. So I would want Punjab Kings to show that kind of trust on Nitish Rana, and he could make a difference to the whole tournament that we could have. So I would place my bets on Nitish Rana to bat at one down and take the innings forward. And moving forward, I would want to have someone to play the role of a floater for me, and I would want either of Abhishek Sharma, Riyan Parag, or Sarfaraz Khan, any of them to be in my setup. And all these three are gun fielders. Like Sarfaraz is a safe fielder, not as express as Riyan or Abhishek would be, but these three can perform the role of a floater and a finisher at will. So I would want them in my setup. And being the role of a finisher, I would want someone like a Ben Cutting or a Daniel Sams to be in my setup as well. Both of them have done exceedingly well at the BBL, and I wanted Mitch Marsh, but given the way his career has unfortunately panned out for him, and he's been plagued down with injuries of late, and he's broken down midway in the tournament. He broke down while he was out with the Sunrisers last time. So it definitely affects the team dynamics. And I won't want that while I'm rebuilding my team. So I would want Daniel Sams or Ben Cutting to be my first choice all rounders after Jason Holder, of course. But yeah, I rate them slightly over Mitch Marsh. So I would slightly avoid Mitch Marsh right now because I'm not sure of how fit he is or how fit he would remain throughout the tournament. And then coming over to Indian all-rounders, I would have Washington Sundar or Rahul Tewatia. So both of them have their own advantages as well. And Washington is very brilliant at the power play. He's good. He's great. He's mighty. He can ball up front to any batsman. And maybe a lot of people have not seen him bat, but he bats really well at the top of the order. A couple of people have acknowledged the fact that Washington Sundar has played some brilliant innings at the Test level, but uh, at the TNPL he's opened the batting and he has been a revelation over there as well. So Washington Sundar can do a world of good for the side as well. And Tewatia has done brilliantly in this limited opportunities that he has, and has had a fair amount of success as well. And a couple of matches have been crazy for him, and he's been on the good side of those matches. I don't want to recall any of those. So yeah, he's done really well against a particular team where he could manage to smack five sixes in an over. So let's not just talk about it. And yeah, I would want someone like a Mohammad Nabi in my team. Nabi is a very wily customer as well. When I talk about team building, he was in the Sunrisers setup of late, and he's been with them for 4 or 5 seasons, if I remember correctly, but hasn't had a lot of opportunities with them while he's playing very well in the leagues all across the world. So I would want someone who could play for my team, and he would be in my setup, and he could bowl in the power play, he could bowl in the middle overs, and he could really finish off games easily. He's a good finisher, and he's a silent leader again. So I would want someone who could pick the side up from nowhere and lead the team. So I would want someone like Mohammad Nabi with me. Next up, I have Ravi Kumar. He's the under 19 kid, and he bowls left arm swing up front, and I would want him as a backup of Arsdeep. I do not want Arsdeep to be overloaded, so I would want him as a backup. And maybe in a couple of games where I would want Arsdeep to have a rest, I would want to throw in the opportunity to Ravi Kumar as well. And then I would want to welcome back Harpreet Brar. He's done really well in the limited opportunities he has had, and he's been on the good sides of few key moments that he was involved in, where he could get a couple of crucial wickets where he got Virat's wicket and De Villiers' wickets, and he scored handy runs as well. So I would want Harpreet back. So, and if I talk about leg spinners, I would want my first bet would be Amit Mishra. Yeah, a lot of questions again. Amit Mishra, why he's not been part of the India setup or the domestic setup regularly. But Amit Mishra has been a top performer in the IPL, and he could give you wickets in the middle. If the wicket is turning square, is if it's ranked and he could give you wickets at will. He's had a habit of finishing off games with a couple of wickets in tandem. So Amit Mishra would be an interesting pick for me, and I would want him in my setup. And if not him, I would want someone like a Shreyas Gopal in my team. Shreyas Gopal has played for RR and he has done well for them. And again, like Amit Mishra, he has a good habit of picking up top wickets in top clashes. If I remember correctly, Shreyas Gopal has had upper hand on the RCB, and most of the RCB top batsmen have failed to read him. So I would want Shreyas Gopal to be in my team, and Anil Kumble has overlooked him over the years in the Karnataka setup as well at the domestic level. So Shreyas Gopal can do well under his leadership again. And again, if I talk about backups, I had Jason Roy as my backup opener, and if not Jason Roy, I have a couple of wild card backups as well for me, and those would be Evan Lewis and Paul Sterling. A lot of people again would think why Paul Sterling, but Paul Sterling has done really well in the different leagues that he's playing in, and he's in his zone. Like he can take on the bowling from ball one. He's good against these fast bowlers, and he's good against spinners. You can take them on at will. And similarly, even Lewis, keeping aside his fitness issues, but he's a terrific player. He likes to score them fast and he likes to score them big. So both of these players could ease off the pressure of Mayank and could make the ball go here and wide. So I would want either of these two guys to be as someone in my setup and take the bowling on if given an opportunity, and someone to keep the ball batting quiet in the power plays. I'd want Josh Hazelwood to be in my team. Josh again has been very well and has been a top performer for CSK. But I would want Josh Hazelwood to be in my team so that he could keep the uh, run flow of runs quiet and give me wickets up front. So I would have a couple of bowlers who could give me wickets up front then. And Josh has been very well performer for CSK. So again, changing the dynamics of the game and the squad building. And couple of backup wicket keepers for me, because if for any reason I could not get either of De Kock or Bairstow, I would want to have Sam Billings, Ben McDermott, or Devon Conway, and these would be my backup wicket keepers for sure, because they've been doing well over over a fair amount of time at the domestic level or at the other T20 leagues that they are playing in, and they could be valuable additions to my middle order as well. They won't necessarily open the batting for me, but yeah, they could bat in the middle, and they have scored runs at will when they're set. So definitely one of them could be my backup keeper. And if I have the opportunity or the luxury to buy any of these top two, then my backup keepers would be either Vishnu Solanki or Anuj Rawat. Both of these guys have done very well at the domestic level and the local tournaments, the local T20 tournaments that have taken place, and they've done really well at the Syed Mustaq Ali as well, and are good, energetic wicket keepers. And there's one more batsman that I was really keenly looking at. That was Rohan Kadam. Rohan Kadam plays for the Karnataka, and he's done well. He's an impact player, and he's had some good handy innings under his belt. So I would want him to be in my scheme of things, and Rohan Kadam could be someone who could win you a couple of matches like Shah Rukh Khan did last time for us. I was keen to include Shah Rukh Khan's name as well in the list, but he might engage a bidding war. But Rohan Kadam could perform the same role and help me as a bargain boy for him. So next up, I would have few Indian seamers up my sleeve, and I would want either of Siddharth Kaul, Prasidh Krishna, or Sandeep Warrior for my side. And like off late, people would say again, these are not the bowlers that would win you matches, but as per me, they have been in this IPL setup off late, and they've done fairly decent in the opportunities that have been given to them. Sandeep Warrior fairly new and hasn't played a lot, but these guys have been in the setup of late, and it's time. It's about time that they they come good. So I would want either of these three to get in my setup. Maybe a couple of these three to get into my setup, and let's see how it goes, because these won't be very costly buys for my side. I would not have to pay a lot of from my purse to get any of these three. So I could get in a good seasoned domestic Indian seamer, and it would definitely add value to my arsenal. And next up, I would have few Indian all rounders as well. Gurkirat Singh Man and Pawan Negi would be one of would be the two all rounders that I would look at, and simply because a lot of teams would be currently a lot of teams have retained most of the all rounders, and they might not look for more all rounders. And Gurkirat Singh Man and Pawan Negi could attract bids as well, or they might not. So I might be tempted to get one of them in the accelerated process, if not directly. And similarly, if I have to target someone for any reasons, if I miss O'Shane Thomas, oh sorry, if I miss Josh Hazelwood, or if I miss Kagiso Rabada, I would want someone like an O'Shane Thomas or a Nathan Coulter-Nine for my side. These are good seamers who are swing bowlers and have decent amount of pace as well, and they like to pick wickets up front. And I would want my side to pick wickets up front this time. So I would want them. And lastly, I would look at again good bunch of Indian seamers for my side as part of the group. I would want Akash Deep, the fast bowler from Bengal, Ishan Porel, who has been in our setup of late, and Basil Thampi, the fast bowler from Kerala. So I would want either of these three or all of these three in my setup, so that I have this different discipline that I could add to my game. And these guys are playing in and out domestic cricket and have been doing well, and have done fairly well in the opportunities that they have been provided at the domestic level. So I would want them to be in my setup. So few good calls, few not so good calls, few surprising calls from my side for the Punjab Kings setup. But I honestly want Punjab Kings to do well this time, because a lot of times the IPL needs new winner, and the teams or the fans need a new enthusiasm, a new spark, and these guys could redeem the entire fandom and the entire franchise. And a couple of my close associates are also uh, very keenly and highly motivated with the fact that Punjab Kings should do well. So, and I want them, I want Punjab Kings to do well for them as well. So, all the best, Punjab Kings, for the upcoming auction, and build a good team around yourself and have a good tournament, and let's see how these things go out. And I'm surely looking forward to who your captain would be for this tournament. I had my picks, and you certainly have had your mindset as well. So let's see how things go.